Hey guys, welcome to week 5, comparing fractions. Okay, as we get started, I've done the first couple of ones, or maybe the first one for you. It wants you to compare the two sets of fractions. So 4/8, is it greater than 2/8? And the answer would be yes. Let me change that. 4/8 is greater than 2/8. Yes. Okay, so the next one. I had to actually take the purple box up here to make 3/4, and I had to stretch it out and then make a copy. So if I was doing that over here, let me show you. 4/6, you would bring it up here, stretch it out, make a copy of it by hitting Control C, and then if you click off of it, you can hit Control V, and it will make a copy, and then you can just add them over to, but you have to make a copy of each one. So you can do 4/6 on the bottom, just like this, and you just keep copying it until you get those covered. Whoops. Okay, there we go. And one more. Okay, and there's 4/6. Okay, so I have, and actually 4/6 should be on the top because that's the first fraction. And 2/6 is on the bottom because that's the second fraction. Okay, then you have to compare them. And in order to do that, you need to look at which one's bigger. So 4/6 is bigger. And so I'm going to hit Shift and the sign that says greater than. And remember, it opens to the bigger fraction. Okay, so there is another one for you there. Okay, all right, the next one, you're just comparing the two sets of fractions and then putting yes or no if it's greater. So 2/8 is not greater than 2/4. So 2/4 is greater than 2/8 is greater than 2/4. No, the answer would be no. Okay. All right, the next one, use the less than or greater than sign to compare, and I had to do the fraction strips again. So you're taking it, dragging it up, stretching it out, and then hitting Control C to make a copy, Control V to copy it, and then, whoops, let's try that again. So Control C, and it should copy it just like it is. There we go. So 2/3. Good. Okay, and then when I want to do 1/6 or 2/6, excuse me, I bring it up here, stretch it out, click Control C, click off of it before you hit Control V, and then you can move it to where it needs to go. So now I can look at this. 2/3 is definitely bigger than 2/6. So I come down here and I make the greater than sign by hitting Shift and the signal. If I mess up for some reason, just hit the undo button and it'll take it back for you. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead. Oops. And add that back. Okay. So the next one, all you're doing is dragging one of these up. So if we look at this one is obviously less than this one. So I'm going to type in the number. So I hit 1 out of 3 parts. That's the first fraction strip. And then the second one is 2 shaded out of 3. Okay, and I'm going to see which one is bigger, which is 2/3. So I'm going to grab one of these and drag it up to show that 1/3 is less than 2/3. Okay, all right, the next part, same thing. You're putting in the numbers. Okay, I said that 2/3 is greater than 1/3, and I was able to drag the symbol up. Okay, the next one says, okay, so you're looking at this one. This one's tricky. It's the same denominator. So there's 8 parts on this, and there's 8 parts on this. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 shaded, and that's going to be bigger than what I'm going to put here. I chose to do 4. So for example, if I'm doing 3 parts shaded out of 3, so that would be 3/3, that's going to be greater than, let's say, 2/3. Okay, so you're choosing what number you want to go in this blank that makes this make sense. Okay, all right, let's look at the next one. Okay, we're comparing the fractions. First of all, you have to type in the fraction. So I'm going to do this one for you. This would be 2 over however many parts there are. Oops. And that would be out of 6. So I would type in 6. Then I'm going to go over to this one. 2 out of 3 parts. And then I'm ready to compare them. Obviously, this is bigger. This amount shaded is bigger. So I'm going to drag the less than sign. So I should say 2/6 is less than 2/3. So even though the number's the same on the top, the bigger number on bottom is actually less than the smaller number. So the denominator, the bigger number is less than the smaller number. That's tricky, okay? Let's look at the next one. Okay, so I have to make this make sense, but now we're looking at the numerator. So we've got 2 parts shaded, and this was 2. So I've got 2 out of 4, which would be greater than 2 out of 5 parts, because if there's 5 parts, there's more parts. So 2 is going to be smaller than if there were only 4 parts. So let's look at this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 out of 6. Okay, we're saying that this is greater than 5 out of, let's see, 5, 6 would be greater than 5, let's do 8. Okay, so we're looking for the same denominator, but this time the numerator, sorry, they're both going to be 5, but the bottom number, remember, is different. And so 6 is going to be greater than 8 because less parts means bigger. Okay, I know that's confusing. Okay, let's look at the next one. On this one, this one's easier. 2/6. So I moved the smiley faces up to show 2/6, and I moved another one up to show 5/6, and then I just compared the fractions and put in the symbol to make it make sense. 2/6 is less than 5/6. Okay, and let's move on. You have a couple like this, so I didn't do any more. Okay, the next one, all I'm doing is comparing again and then putting the numbers and the symbols. So the first one, I had to count how many parts. 1, 2, 3, 4 parts, so that's my number on bottom. 1 part is where the smiley face is, so I punched that in. And then the other one, I said 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, so 1/6 is over here. Obviously 1/4 is greater than 1/6, so I made the symbol. I was able to drag it up to show that that makes sense. Okay, same thing, excuse me, on this one. Is 2/3 greater than 2/8? 2/3 is greater than 2/8. So I was able to drag the smiley faces up to show 2/3 and 2/8, and then I said yes, it is greater. Okay, all right. Okay, I've done a couple for you here. 7/8 is less than 8/8, because remember 8/8 is equal to 1 whole. So I said that 7/8 is less than 8/8, or 1 whole. This one, 3/4 is greater than 2/4, okay? And then 1/3 is less than 2/3. So look at the numerator and the denominators and see if they're the same or different, and then look at that based on what you have, okay? All right, you've got a couple of those to do. This one, same thing, except this time you're just typing it in. So 3/6 is greater than 2/6. 1/8 is less than 1/2. 3/4 is less than 1 whole, or 3/3. Okay, so I know this can be tricky. Even though the 4's bigger doesn't mean that the fraction's bigger than a whole. Okay, all right. On this one, it says write your own fractions to make this comparison correct. So I had to type in the fraction that I thought would make this make sense. This is equal to 1 whole. So I said 4/6 is less than 1 whole. 2/8 is greater than 1/8. 2/3 is greater than 2/6. Okay, and you can always check this by doing the butterfly method. You can do 2 times 6 is 12. 2 times 3 is 6. 12 would be greater than 6. And you can use paper if you need to write these down. These are really tricky this week. Okay. All right. Okay, this one I thought was really tricky. It says, which fractions make this comparison true? Now, I clicked every one of these because if I do the butterfly method, 2/6 is greater than 4/6. Remember, less parts is bigger than more parts. Okay. And then 2/8 is also, or 2/6 is greater than 2/8. 2/6 is greater than 2/4, and 2/6 is greater than 1/6. So check those on your paper, do the butterfly method to see if I got those right, and then you can do the rest. Okay, this one I thought was easy. It says greater than, less than, or equal to 1 whole. You're just dragging the pieces. I was able to drag 1/3 because it's less than 1. 3/3 is equal to 1. And then 3/2 is greater than 1 because the big number on top is bigger than the one on bottom. So that means it's going to be more than 1. Okay. All right. This one, it says comparing fractions. You're just dragging one of these up to make it make sense. 8/1. Remember, that's 8 whole. This would be 1 whole. So 8 is definitely greater than 1. 4/3 is bigger than a whole. 3/4 is less than a whole. So 4/3 is greater than 3/4. And then look at this one. 6/6 is equal to 1 whole. 2/2 is equal to 1 whole. So these would be equal because 1 equals 1. Okay, these get really tricky this week. Okay, next one, comparing fractions greater than 1. Okay, remember you count 1, 2. So this one has 2 parts. Okay, so that's going to be my denominator on both of these. So now I'm 1 over here, over the 1, so that would be 3/2. This one is only 1, 2, so this would be 1/2. So obviously 3/2 is going to be bigger than 1/2. And I was able to drag that up to show that that is correct. Okay. Last slide is the very same thing. You are going to look at these first, click in. This would be, let's look at this one. 1, 2, 3, there's 4 parts. Okay, so I'm going to type in 4. This one has less over here. Or first of all, let's do the shade or the smiley face. This would be 3. So this first fraction line is 3/4. Okay, the next one, let's count. 1, 2. So there are 3 parts where the smiley face is, but there's only 2 parts in a whole. So now I have 3/4 and 3/2 because remember 1 whole is right here. So 3/4 is here, 3/2 is there. So I know that this one's bigger. So I'm going to drag this up to show that 3/2 is bigger than 3/4. Okay. Remember to use your paper. Use the butterfly method, and don't forget that the directions are down here at the bottom in case you have any trouble knowing what to do. I've done the first several ones for you, so that should give you an idea of what to do. Just try your best. Remember, on some of these ones where you have to copy and paste up here at the top, remember to click and drag it, then click, Control-C. Click off of it, Control-V to make a copy of it, okay? And then you can just drag it where you want to go, okay? Do your very best. Just do a couple of slides each day, and then it will automatically save it for you, and then by the end of the week, you will hopefully have all of them completed. Go back and check to make sure you don't leave anything blank, okay? Good luck this week on comparing fractions. This will be our last week for fractions, and then we will go back to just review for math, okay? Good luck and have fun. If you have any questions, let me know.